So we move into the last 2 weeks of English W231 for the semester. I want to introduce the final project here. The final project is less kind of a final exam or anything, but more kind of an opportunity for you to do some kind of basic engagement with business journalism and writing. So it's an opportunity to kind of display the things that you've learned in terms of style, focus, concision, and clarity within your own writing throughout the semester. And so the range of options here are going to try to give you some space to do that. The final project itself, building on some points of contact with noted sources, develop a short writing project that addresses one of the following prompts. You can think of yourself here as a business journalist, an opportunity to display how your writing is developed in terms of clarity and conciseness on the sentence level through this course, versus simply writing a summary of the source. There's a range of sources here. I don't want you to do a book report. Instead, explore some aspect of how the source changes your sense of the local, regional, American, or world economies, or your own personal finances, your own situation and work, as each option outlines. What issues regarding technology, generational shifts, or financial literacy impact your analysis here? In all your options, be sure to provide footnotes or in-text citations in APA format for any and all sources consulted or utilized in writing your project. I only expect you to utilize the one source that I give you, but if you want to do more, that's certainly allowed. You can use any format for citations. I'd prefer APA, but use that format consistently. Don't plagiarize. And just note which option you've chosen with the submission. I'm not worried about formatting here. You're going to be graded exclusively on content. The length of this project is 1,000 plus words. That's basically 2 single-spaced pages when you submit it. The due date for this is the Sunday after classes end, which is May 3rd at 10 p.m. But I will leave the assignment open through Wednesday, May 6th at 10 p.m., but that is the final deadline. I need to have your final projects submitted by that time if you want to receive credit for them. So please try to submit them by that point. And note that there's no deduction for turning it in by the 6th. The 6th is perfectly fine. There's 5 options with this assignment. The first is one in business journalism. Write a short essay or journalistic article that could appear in the op-ed or business section of a local newspaper. For example, you could write a persuasive op-ed piece for the Chicago Tribune or the Times of Northwest Indiana on some aspect of economic or socio-economic policy, such as the need for financial regulation or reform in the United States, technology's impact on education or finance, the objectives of healthcare policy, or some other issue in professional development or ethics in your own field. So if you want to write about nursing here, you want to write about environmental studies, you can do all of those things. Similarly, you could rethink this piece as more of a journalistic feature for Crane's Business Chicago that examines some local economic or commercial issue, the role of a public university like IUN in the region, issues impacting Northwest Indiana's economic development or a particular company's situation, a particular hospital situation or something like that. Feel free to kind of track down your own interests and the kinds of things you might be interested in writing about for a more general audience within your particular field. Option B is to write about the pandemic itself right now. Examine Frontline's reporting on the coronavirus pandemic and its social and economic impact. There is a link there on Frontline, a Frontline documentary on covering the coronavirus, plus a number of short pieces of writing and video that you can watch or read as you develop your writing. And then in a short piece, explore some aspect of the pandemic in terms of your field or focus of study. For instance, you could explore the ways in which the pandemic has created patterns of devastating unemployment or has shifted attitudes towards work in Northwest Indiana. How has the stay-at-home order impacted the ways in which people think about where they need to be to work, maybe. You could also reconsider how the pandemic has perhaps changed your thinking about education. How has the online experience at IUN shifted the way you think about where what your goals and values are in terms of education. Or of course you can also directly engage specific health related aspects of the crisis here, perhaps rethinking specific changes within your field or work necessitated by the virus. If you're in education, if you want to think about how you think about teaching differently at a secondary or grade school level, that would be a great kind of focus for this as well. Third option asks you kind of maybe think about geography of the suburbs. Examine Richard Florida's points in the short journalistic entry, How Should We Define the Suburbs? There's a link under Canvas, under Pages on Canvas. Then in your own short journalistic piece, rethink how or whether Northwest Indiana exists as a suburb of Chicago. Is this region the region geographically closer to Chicago, Indianapolis, or Detroit in terms of working culture or socioeconomic situation? So you kind of like think about that question of where do you situate the region in terms of the cities that surround it. Is it closer to Chicago, Indianapolis, or Detroit in the ways that you think about place here? Option D would be to kind of do some sociological analysis in some ways. View and explore Frontline's more recent documentary, Left Behind America, which explores life and work within Rust Belt cities at present. Then develop points of socioeconomic comparison between the city in the documentary, which is Dayton, Ohio, and Northwest Indiana. What similar challenges do cities here face? What other advantages and disadvantages exist here? Do you see similarities in the ways that Dayton's residents and leaders view the meaning of work and community in contemporary life? In developing your analysis, feel free to utilize the interview with Edward Glazer and other items that are available on the Frontline website for the documentary as a source. Again, the Frontline does a nice job of including other kinds of reporting, interviews that are a part of the documentary. That if you look at the website, you can find all kinds of places to go in terms of research. And then the final option here, option E, is to write about technology. Watch Frontline's recent documentary, In the Age of AI, Artificial Intelligence. Then explore some aspect of how you anticipate artificial intelligence will change basic dimensions of some part of your life in the not too distant future, such as work, privacy, connection with others. Don't simply indulge wide-ranging conspiracies and dystopian models here, though. Instead, I want you to think about how your daily life and how it has been or will be dramatically changed. For focus here, perhaps build on issues introduced by adding reporting available on the documentary's website. Again, follow those links to explore a particular issue as opposed to just writing vaguely about a generalized AI. So those are your options. Choose one of them. Don't try to write on more than one. Just write on one and give me some ideas of the kinds of things you're thinking about in terms of these very focused and relevant topics in terms of your professional life and work. And I look forward as always to getting and reading your ideas. Thanks.